Hello and welcome to my Northern Premier League Midlands Division review, your weekly home for everything happening in the NPL Midlands. I'm David Garton. I'll be breaking down all the key results from the past week, analysing the big talking points, checking in on how the league table is shaping up, and looking ahead to the next round of games. Firstly, I'd like to discuss some talking points from the league that have caught my attention this week. So we will start with the manager of the month. So Shepshed Dynamo's Gary Drake has been crowned the Step 4 manager of the month for January. The Dynamo enjoyed an unbeaten month, picking up 10 points from a possible 12. We've also had some player departures. So AFC Rushden Diamonds confirmed that Raymond Poku has left to join a fellow Northern Premier League Division 1 side. They said they'd like to wish Ray all the best for the future and thank him for his efforts whilst in the Diamond shirts. Ray made 27 appearances for the club, scoring one goal versus Harborough. He then returned to Owen Chetnex to find playing time restricted to a sub-appearance. Racing Club Warwick would like to wish Callum Coyle all the best as he moves up to a level to join a Step 3 club. Coyle joined in December 2024 and went on to make 54 appearances for the Racers, scoring 7 goals along the way. Rugby Town. So goalkeeper Marcus Bold left the club following the arrival of Charlie Woods. The former Newport Pagnell keeper had become a free agent. And that brings us quite nicely onto player arrivals. So Rugby Borough were delighted to announce the signing of Marcus Bold. He played his youth football at Borough before being picked up at Northampton. He then signed for Rugby Town in the summer before making the switch back to the Borough. He wasn't a free agent for long. Rugby Borough would also like to welcome the signing of Kane Richards to the club. Kane came through the Derby County youth setup. He's played for Chester, Kidderminster, Kettering, and most recently in Eaton and Basford. He joins the club from Barwell. Kane is a strong, pacey forward who adds another dimension to their attack. Shepshed Dynamo. So Shepshed Dynamo were delighted to announce the signing of Ben Richards, a defender who joins the club from Redditch United, has also represented Bedworth United this season. Standing at 6'7", Richards is comfortable operating as both a centre-back and left-back, offering a physical presence and versatility to the Dynamo back line. Coleshill Town. So Coleshill Town were delighted to announce the signing of a former Wolves Rushden Olympic Boldmere St Michaels midfielder Mason Rees, who joins the club from Stafford Rangers. Harry Harris had this to say: "I've watched Mason in the NLN for Rushall a couple of seasons ago, and he's a player I always admired. I inquired about him earlier in the season. It didn't happen for whatever reason. I'm really pleased to have finally got him. He will suit our style of play and his great technical ability, but I also think we will suit him. So it's a perfect fit." He's also said he'd like to thank Graham Deakin of Stafford Rangers for waiving the 7 days to be able to get the deal done quickly. Bedworth United. So Bedworth United were delighted to confirm that Sam Hewitt will remain at Bedworth United after extending his loan to the end of the season. Joint managers Jamie Lenton and Andy Penny are really pleased to extend his loan to the end of the season. Bedworth said they'd like to thank Kidderminster Harriers for their help getting this over the line. So, let's start up with a roundup of the results from the past week. We had a handful of fixtures on Tuesday, the 3rd of February. We will start with Anstey Nomads versus Long Eaton United. This finished 1-0 to Anstey Nomads. Jordan Annable, the captain, scored the winner late on the 94th minute. The winner came from a corner kick. We then had Bourne Town versus Sutton Coldfield Town. This finished Bourne Town 2, Sutton Coldfield 1. Joseph Hull gives Sutton Coldfield Town the lead on the 24th minute. A corner into the box. The shot was parried by the keeper and Hull was there ready to pounce, put it away. But Bourne Town in the relegation zone were not hanging around with this one. They made a comeback in the first half in the 45th minute with Zach Allen, the captain, with a penalty placed in the bottom right-hand corner. And then on the 94th minute, so deep into injury time, Robbie Ellis scores from a corner cross into the box, was headed into the bottom corner. Coventry Sphinx versus Wellingborough Town. That was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. Then we had Loughborough Students versus Coleshill Town. This finished Loughborough Students 3, Coleshill Town 1. So Loughborough Students are in the relegation zone, took the lead on the 18th minute with Matthew Rennie. But Coleshill Town managed to get an equaliser before, get this right. Loughborough Students doubled their lead in the first half with Ashton Shortland scoring on the 24th minute. Coleshill Town would get one back in the first half on the 44th minute when marvellous Arno Brookhaven scored. But then Ashton Shortland in the second half would secure all 3 points through Loughborough Students on the 58th minute. We then moved to the fixtures from Wednesday. We had Boldmere St Michaels versus Corby Town. That game finished 0-0. We also had Lichfield City versus Mickleover, which Lichfield City won 2-0. Leighton McNenny scored on the 27th minute, giving the lead. A corner to the back post was headed into the back of the net. Then Charlie Foots, who's on loan from Solihull Moors, scored in the 88th minute. A long ball over the top. The defender headed it back to the goalkeeper. It was too short. Foots was there to pounce, latched onto the ball and put it into the back of the net to secure all 3 points for Lichfield City. We will then move on to the games from Saturday. So we had a few postponements on Saturday due to the wet weather. So we have AFC Rushden Diamonds versus St Neots. That was postponed. Anstey Nomads versus Mickleover. That was postponed. We then had a Basford United versus Bourne Town. That finished at Basford United 2, Bourne Town 0. Niall Blake gave Basford the lead late in the second half on the 72nd minute. And then Covain Leon scored. It was a second half substitution. It was a cross into the box on the right hand side, controlled on the chest, pass to Leon, who then hooked the ball into the back of the net to secure all 3 points for Basford United. Carlton Town took on Belper Town. This finished 3-1 to Carlton Town. Belper Town took the lead on the 19th minute with Diego Di Girolamo scored. Would be the only goal in the first half. Carlton Town would end up taking all 3 points in the second half. Niall Hilton scored on the 57th minute to get the scores level. Then Lamin Mena scored in the 77th minute and then finished the scoring to secure the points on the 89th minute. Mena scored again. We had Coleshill Town versus Rugby Town. So this finished Coleshill Town 3, Rugby Town 0. Charlie Woods, the goalkeeper of Rugby Town, was given a red card on the 19th minute. A bit of a clumsy challenge right on the edge of the box. Referee was quick to pull out the red card. Coleshill Town then took the lead when Daniel Gassi scored. It was a free kick from the put right into the right bottom corner of the Rugby Town net. Theo Rowe doubled the scoring on the 61st minute. It was a through ball to Rowe, who megged the goalkeeper to make it 2-0. Then Mason Rees on his debut scored in the 86th minute. It was a cross from the right. Keeper didn't deal with it, and Rees was there just to tap it away. We then had Corby Town versus Wellingborough Town. That was postponed. Coventry Sphinx versus Racing Club Warwick. That was postponed. A lot of these. We then had Lichfield City versus Boldmere St Michaels. So an impressive victory here for Boldmere, who came out 2-0 winners. Pedro Lima scored in the 49th minute for Boldmere to give them the lead. A corner into the box, foul to Lima from close range, tapped it away. Then James Tague scored in the 82nd minute. A short pass into the box. Tague was there to pounce to put it away from close range to secure the 3 points. Long Eaton United versus Loughborough Students. This finished 4-1 to Loughborough Students. A very impressive victory here. Long Eaton took the lead when the captain Evan Garrett scored in the 14th minute. But Loughborough Students managed to get one back in the first half, and Matt Rennie scored in the 42nd minute. Ashton Shortland continued his good spell in front of goal, scoring on the 47th minute to make it 2-1 to Loughborough. Shortland then scored again in the 65th minute to make it 3-1. And then 4 minutes later, midfielder Marcus Gilpin scored to make it 4-1 to give all 3 points to struggling Loughborough Students. Rugby Borough versus Shepshed Dynamo. So this finished 1-1. Shepshed Dynamo took the lead in the second half in the 49th minute. Cross from the left, headed towards goal by Aaron Corpel. The defender on line couldn't clear it and give them a 1-0 lead. Then Gary Storer equalised in the 83rd minute for Rugby Borough. A long ball over the top, collected just outside the 6-yard box, played into the box. Storer was there to tap it from close range. The last game we had on Saturday was Sutton Coldfield Town versus Bedworth United. This finished 3-1 to Bedworth United. So no goals in the first half. Sam Hewitt would score a penalty on the 49th minute for Bedworth United to give them the lead. Brian Carillion would then score 6 minutes later on the 50th minute to make it 2-0. But Ryan Edmonds would score a late goal for Sutton Coldfield Town to make it an interesting final few minutes at Sutton Coldfield. But then Louis Monaghan would pop up to score and secure all 3 points for Bedworth United on the 96th minute. So let's take a look at the table as it stands. At the top of the table, Carlton Town remain out top on 67 points. They're now 15 points clear of Basford, who is in second place. Anstey, who didn't play, are on 51 points. About 3 games in hand over the rest of the top 5. Basford and Coleshill both won, with Belper losing to top of the table Carlton. Not much movement at the top end of the table at the moment. There's a lot of postponement. So we'll just have a quick look at the top of the table. So we'll go from top to bottom, or top to middle. We've got Carlton in the promotion place at the moment. And in the playoffs, we've got Basford, Anstey Nomads, Belper Town and Coleshill Town. And just outside the playoffs, we've got Wellingborough Town, who've got a game in hand alongside Shepshed Dynamo on 42 points. So they're just 4 points away from getting into the playoffs at the moment. Racing Club Warwick on 42 as well, and Mickleover on 42. So there's a nice clump of teams there. Eaton United, who seem to have just lost their form at the moment, down in 10th place from 41. Corby Town are on 41 points as well. Then Lichfield City are on 12 points. So it's still very tight at the top end of the table. I think probably up to fourth place is still accessible for teams at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how the top end goes the rest of the season. At the bottom end of the table, it's getting very interesting right now. Bedworth United, Boldmere St Michaels, and Loughborough Students all picked up some much-needed points to try pull some other teams ahead of them back into the relegation fight. St Neots are now bottom of the table, but have 2 games in hand, and Coventry Sphinx are now in the relegation's over, have 3 games in hand. As I said last week, I think we're going to see a lot of movement at the bottom end of the table. So we'll look at the bottom. So looking at the table, we've got St Neots, who are now bottom of the table, with Bedworth United, Bourne Town, and Coventry Sphinx in the relegation places. Just outside the relegation zone, Loughborough Students have managed to climb off the bottom of the table, now on 31 points. But between kind of fifth bottom and bottom, there's only got 3 or 4 points in at the moment. So it's going to be interesting how this season plays out. Rugby Town, who I thought were going to pull away from danger, are still in the relegation fight. Boldmere with a massive 3 points, puts them on 34 points. Sutton Coldfield are on 36 points. I'm not too sure they're going to get dragged into it, but they could do. And Rugby Borough on 37 and Rushden Diamonds on 38. So I'm still not sure who's going to be the bottom 4 come the end of the season. It keeps chopping and changing at the moment. Obviously, I do work for Bedworth United, so my eyes are on there at the moment. But yeah, I think there's going to be lots of changes going on. There's games in hand. There's going to be fixture congestions. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. So let's take a look. Hang on, wait me a second. I lost my train of thought there. So what's coming up next? So we've got some midweek fixtures coming up on Tuesday. Carlton Town versus Anstey Nomads. It's looking like a great fixture. Both teams both pushing for promotion places. Relegation threatened Bedworth United and Rugby Town are both playing teams in the playoffs. Wednesday we have Corby Town versus Shepshed Dynamo. We also have a 4 round of fixtures coming up on the 14th of February. The standard fixture for me has to be Belper Town versus Anstey Nomads, as both teams are pushing for promotion at the top end. We also have St Neots versus Coventry Sphinx at the other end of the table, both teams with games in hand. So the 3 points for either team in this fixture would be a massive step towards survival. So we'll go through the fixtures one by one. I'm going to give some predictions, which I think is going to be quite difficult to do because everyone's beating everyone at the moment, so it's quite difficult. So Basford versus Bedworth United. I think Bedworth United, on the back of their victory, are going to win this 2-1. Are going to cause a shock at the top end of the table. Carlton Town versus Anstey Nomads. I think Carlton are going to drop some points towards the end of the season now. I think Anstey are going to win this 3-1. So a bit of a shock result there. Rugby Town versus Belper Town. I think Belper Town are going to win that 2-1. On Wednesday, the 11th of February, we've got Corby Town versus Shepshed Dynamo. I think Shepshed's good run is going to continue. They're going to come out 2-0 winners on that. We've then got the 14th of February. We've got a 4 round of fixtures. So we've got Bedworth United versus Coleshill Town. I'm going to go for 2-1 there to Bedworth United. Belper Town versus Anstey Nomads. I think Anstey Nomads are going to continue their fine run. They're going to win that 2-1. Bouldermere St Michaels versus Eaton United. Not too sure which way this one's going to go here. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw because I'm undecided. Boldmere with a cracking result the weekend. Eaton seem to be all over the place at the moment, but I think they're going to come back into this one and take a point. Bourne Town versus AFC Rushden Diamonds. I think Bourne Town are going to lose this 2-0. I think Rushden Diamonds are going to get 3 points, which is probably just going to give them just enough now to keep them safe till the end of the season. Loughborough Students versus Corby Town. Loughborough Students in great form at the moment. Corby Town still a bit all over the place of the squad. I'm not sure which way this is going to go. I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw. Mickleover versus Basford. I think that's going to be a 2-1 victory to Basford. Racing Club Warwick versus Lichfield City. Lichfield City seem to be dropping at the moment. I think it's going to be a 3-0 victory for Racing Club Warwick. Rugby Town versus Sutton Coldfield Town. 2 teams at the wrong end of the table. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. We've got Shepshed Dynamo versus Carlton Town. I think it's going to be a 2-1 victory to Shepshed Dynamo. I think their push up the table is going to continue. St Neots versus Coventry Sphinx. So battle at the bottom of the table there. Both teams with games in hand. I think that's going to be a 2-2 draw. So still not 100% sure how it's going to go, but I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, that one. Wellingborough Town versus Rugby Borough. I think Wellingborough Town are going to win that 2-1 with their continued push to try and get into the playoffs. So if anyone wants to let me know what their thoughts are on my predictions. Obviously, this is a very difficult league at the moment to predict. There's results going all over the place. So that's it for this week's review of the Northern Premier Midland Division. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be back next week to break it all down again. But until then, enjoy the football. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.